Hello, third grade scientists. Last week we learned what a force is. It's when something pushes or pulls on another object. And this week we're going to focus on magnetic forces. And today our question is, what objects do magnetic forces act on? So our big overall investigation is what makes this train rise, float, and fall back down. So we discovered that there must be a force that makes the train rise off the tracks, but the people in Faraday are still worried because they can't see the evidence of the force. So our question for this week is, why does the train rise without anything touching it? So think back, what have we learned is evidence of a force? We're going to learn two new vocabulary words today. Touching force, a force that acts between objects that are touching each other. So think back to my wooden block. I could push it and I could pull it. And you could see my hand applying the force to move the object. That was the evidence. There's also non-touching force, a force that acts between objects that are not touching each other. So your activity today is to investigate what objects magnetic forces act on. So another vocabulary word, magnet, an object that pulls on some kind of metal and pushes and pulls on other magnets, even without touching them. So I'm just using magnets off of my fridge, and if I bring them close, I can feel the force trying to pull these two magnets together. You can't see the magnetic force, but I can feel it. They're not very strong magnets. So a magnet is the object. Magnetic force is the push or pull between two magnets or the pull on a magnet on some kinds of metal. So you are going to test many different objects to see if magnetic forces act on them. You're going to need to gather 6 objects to test. I have a popsicle stick, staples, a bobby pin, a quarter, a piece of paper, and a spoon. Once you've gathered your 6 objects, you can start making predictions. So, do you think the magnet would act on a popsicle stick? Yes or no? Think to yourself now. Yes? No. Do you think a magnet would have a force on a staple? Yes or no? It is a metal. Do you think a magnet would have a force on a bobby pin? Do you think a magnet would have a force on a quarter? A piece of paper? A spoon? You might have these 6 objects in your house, or you might need to find 6 other objects. Try to have a mix of some non-metal items and some metal items. So your first step, make predictions. Then, for example, I predict that a magnet will not move this popsicle stick. My reason is that I think it's made of wood, and I don't think magnetic forces act on wood. So, no, I don't think so. So you're going to need to make a prediction for each object and record it in your data table. And then as you test each object, record what happens in the test column of the table. The concept we're learning today is that a magnetic force is a non-touching force that can act between magnets and some, but not all, other objects. So I'm going to do 2 of my objects for you right now. I have my magnet and I have my bobby pin. So there is a magnetic force on the bobby pin. What about my popsicle stick? No, I have to actually push it together for it to touch. There's nothing, I don't feel any pull when I bring the popsicle stick close to the magnet. All right, scientists, test all 6 of your objects. As always, stay kind, stay curious, and stay healthy.